Today I'm going to be giving a review for the animated film Batman Bad Blood. Now this continues like I guess you could say like the storyline that started with like a son of Batman and then went into like Batman versus Robin. And so this is actually like the third film in that, you know what I'm saying? It's not really a trilogy, but kind of, since they introduced like Damian Wayne as Robin and son of Batman, it's kind of just like continuing on from that like that particular like storyline. So basically like how this one begins, it opens with like criminal activity in Gotham City, and like Batwoman like shows up because at first you think it's Batman, who shows up to take the criminals out, but it turns out that it is like Batwoman like having like a fight with the criminals and stuff. But then the actual like Batman does show up to help her fight, So as like the fight goes on, and I think some of these are like super villains too that she's fighting. Yeah, because you have like Firefly. And I think like that's the main one I really know of. It's like Firefly, and there's like a couple other ones that are kind of like familiar, like Batman villains, But while they're fighting, that this new villain shows up known as the Heretic, and I've heard of him too, And he's like this like extreme like muscular like like guy, like with huge like arms, He shows up or whatever, Then like a fight ensues. Then like Batwoman like an explosion happens. Then like everyone like all the villains like disappear and like leave, Then like Batwoman like herself, she somehow manages to survive, too. But then like something like happens to Batman, so she automatically suspects that he was actually killed in the explosion. And then after this happens, like 2 weeks later in Gotham City, like Batman, like there's still no sign of him at all. He is still like missing, and this is even making like news waves, like like news headlines, like Gordon is using like the bat signal and stuff. He's been using it for I think like 3 different days in a row or something like that. But Batman still has never showed up to like help, like help the city or whatever. So they automatically assume that something is wrong with Batman. So that's basically what the film is kind of about. Batman just somehow disappears, and if you watch like the beginning of it, you'll think that he was like, of course, he wouldn't get, die in an explosion, but you automatically assume, that's what they would suspect, that he was killed like in the explosion with like the villains, like, and Batwoman herself, So like it turns out that's what the film is basically about, like this, like the disappearance of Batman. So what happens, Dick Grayson himself, he's as Nightwing, he sees this while he's in Bloodhaven. He has like a battle for like Blockbuster, I think that's like his arch enemy, like in Bloodhaven, because it's like he's like this huge villain, known as Blockbuster. Then like after Nightwing is fighting him, he hears about like the disappearance of like Batman from Gotham City for like weeks, So he decides to take a trip to Gotham City to find out what happened. And at the same time, you have like Damian Wayne, who's still like I think like in the Himalayas from like the end of Batman versus Robin. Oh, I didn't mean to spoil that, if you haven't seen that. But he went to the Himalayas, like to get away from like Bruce Wayne and stuff like that, He learns about like his father like disappearing, he knows his father's Batman, so he learns about like his father like missing in Gotham City. So he also too as well decides to take a trip to like Gotham City to find out what happened, So they both end up in Gotham City. So eventually like that's what happens, Dick Grayson takes up the mantle of Batman, since Bruce Wayne is gone, and then like Damian Wayne is still Robin at the same time. So, they join forces together to try to find out what happened to like Batman, And at the same time, you have like Batwoman who joins forces with them too as well. She still suspects that he died like in an explosion, and she wants to stop this heretic villain, this villain known as the Heretic. She wants to try to stop him, too at the same time. Because she knew about him, but the other ones didn't, And then you have like Lucius Fox, he's also in the film too as well, And at one point, like he gets like attacked and like stabbed, and he's like almost like he doesn't, he's like desperately like wounded, and it's his son Luke, I think Luke Fox, I think that's his name. I'm not really too familiar with that. He decides to don the role of Batwing, and he becomes like like Batwing, and he joins like the Batman family, so they can take out like the Heretic and who are all like so on. Well, so that's basically what the film is about. Like you have these new cast of like heroes joining like the Batman family, and they're making the family much wilder too, because now you got like I guess you could say you have like Nightwing now, and then you have like Robin, the Damian Wayne Robin, then you have Batwoman, then now you have Batwing, which is kind of an interesting character, But yeah, on the whole, I thought this film was I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it, and I thought it was another entertaining like DC animated original film, for my opinion. I thought this was better than the last one, Batman versus Robin. I thought it was a big improvement over that one, because that one was still like good too, but at times it just never really did take off, But the thing about it, that I thought was good as usual. As usual, like the animation was like superb, and I mean like scenes where it's like raining or just like, you know, like explosions or fight sequences, or like they're eating like food and stuff like that. I thought the animation was just superb. They just do a really good job with these like DC animated films. Like the artists and stuff, like the creators like, of the animation itself is just beautiful. I like how they did like the animation. It's awesome. I think it's cool, you know. Plus, like the action sequences in the film, mainly like the opening one with like Batwoman and Batman. I thought that was a cool sequence, you know, with them fighting the heretic. I thought that was a cool action sequence too, as well, you know. But there's also like other things in the film too, as well. I thought was kind of cool, you know, interesting, you know. You have like Alfred in the film again too, as well, you know. And at one point, he's impersonating Bruce Wayne because nobody, and he doesn't even know what happened to Bruce Wayne. So everybody's like, he's actually impersonating him. Like whenever he's talking to like the Wayne board members of like Wayne Industries and stuff like that, you know, he actually is impersonating Bruce Wayne like it's like a hologram, you know, and like doing his voice and stuff, because they all wonder what happened to him, you know. So yeah, I thought this was another good addition. Another thing was cool about it, like the grapple gun that Batman was using in this particular film was like it actually can shoot like 2 ropes now. I thought that was kind of cool, kind of odd, you know, and like it would have been kind of like confusing, you know, because he could shoot 1 rope and then he can shoot another one at the same time while the other one is still projected. So you would think that would kind of like mess up things to a certain extent, but it was okay. It was cool, and I thought that was a cool new addition that they have, you know. Another thing about it, Dick Grayson, when he takes on the mantle of Batman, he actually is wearing like the actual like bats, like the traditional like, well, you know, the old Batman suit, like this similar, which I thought was kind of cool, because you know, like they had this that other Batman suit, the other bat suit that he's been wearing since Son of Batman, and I know that was also in one of the Justice League films too, as well, I think. But when Dick Grayson is Batman, he's wearing the one with this symbol, you know, like the yellow like symbol, almost like the bat signal. But yeah, I thought this was a good film. You have like the same like returning cast, you know, from like Son of Batman and I think like Batman versus Robin. You have the same cast return, like Jason O'Mara, Sean Mayer, and Story Allen. They all return to reprise their roles, you know. Plus like the other ones too, that you know they all return, you know. Then you have other people too as well, you know, in the film. But I thought like not the spoiler. I didn't think the heretic, and he was kind of like the headline villain of the film, you know, to a certain extent, but it turns out he really wasn't. He doesn't really get that much screen time, from my opinion, you know. And I knew about him in the comics and like the events of what happened in the comics, because of course this kind of adapts like the I think like the Court of Owls, like story, not the Court of Owls, but the Battle for the Cowl storyline. But at the same time, it's borrowing elements from like the death of Robin. I think the death in the family of the one with Damian Wayne, I think it's kind of borrowing like elements from that particular storyline, which I never read, you know. I never read down, but I think it kind of borrows, kind of that's what the heretic was too as well. And I know he was responsible for Damian Wayne's death in the Batman like comics, you know, which I still haven't read that particular storyline, you know. So I thought that was kind of odd that the heretic himself didn't really get that much screen time, you know. But it was cool though. And there's also a surprise appearance by another like Batman family member, you know, that shows up at the end. And I was kind of surprised. I'm surprised I never had no thoughts on her not being in the Batman like animated DC films, you know, well, you know, as far as like the DC animated original films. So I think this was like her first appearance in them, but I'm not gonna spoil it. It's just like a little cameo appearance. She shows up at the end. You all probably know who that is if you like watching, you know. But yeah, I think I would be giving Batman Bad Blood. I would give this a B. I really enjoyed it. Again, they just do a great job with these like DC like animated films. They really do a good job with these films. I really like them a lot, you know. And I thought this was a big improvement. I ain't gonna say like a massive improvement, but it was better than Batman versus Robin. It wasn't good as Son of Robin, but it was like much better than Batman versus Robin, you know. You have like familiar villains showing too, like the Mad Hatter that he's in. He plays a major part in it too as well. Talia al Ghul, she shows up, and I'm surprised what happens with her. That's how you can still turn that she was kind of on the villain side, you know, because the things she do in this film was like kind of surprising, you know, that she would actually do stuff like that, you know. So that's how you can tell she kind of really was like a true villain in her heart, you know. Then you have other characters like I know Black Mask showed up in, like Firefly, Killer Moth, all of them showed up in too. Even like the Penguin, I think that was something towards the end. He makes like a cameo appearance towards the end. I don't want to spoil it, you know. But yeah, at the end I'd be giving Batman Bad Blood. I would be giving this a B. I recommend it, highly recommend it for like fans of like the DC animated original fans, especially if you're like a Batman fan, you know. I highly recommend it. And this is my review for Batman Bad Blood. Alright.